Welcome to Screen Talk with yours truly, Nomfanelo. So, I believe it was over a year ago, I made a short video where I shared my brief thoughts on Skydance acquiring Paramount at the time. And I wondered in the video, what were they going to do creatively as a studio under this new leadership? Well, it seems like after various headlines of them announcing different projects and stuff, it looks like we might have the answer to that. So, The Hollywood Reporter published this article just over a week ago where it says feelings don't matter how the Ellison era is transforming Paramount. It's a brand new day at the Legacy Studio where prestige films are out, testosterone heavy tentpoles are in, and Brett Ratner is back on the call sheet. So I'm not gonna read the whole article. I'll leave a link in the description for you to read. So it mentions here that the person that ran the animation division of Paramount, Ramsey Nato. So apparently, before the merger became official back in August, um, apparently anonymous source indicated that she was safe, highlighting the success of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, which made $182 million worldwide against a $30 million budget and propelled the brand to north of $1 billion in merchandising sales. But apparently, during a meeting with key leaders, Nato was supposedly left feeling humiliated after she was told had devalued the Turtles franchise. Sources say NATO later confronted Greenstein and others to object to the way they had spoken to her. The essence of the response: get over it. Oof, that is harsh. So, fast forward, it mentions here that she was confronted for declining to take responsibility for several animated films going over budget, including the Smurfs movie. And yeah, I remember seeing promos for that. I'm just like, yeah, this movie does not look great. And no surprise that it bombed. I think, yeah, with Smurfs, I don't know what's going on with that franchise, but that needs a revamp or just shelve it. But apparently, that movie lost $80 million for the studio. And it seemed like after that, sources say that NATO saw the writing on the wall and told friends she wasn't sure how long she'd last under new management. And on October 29th, she was among those that was let go in a massive round of layoffs. Says she could not be reached for comment. She was replaced recently by Jennifer Dodge, president of entertainment at Spin Master, the toy company behind Paw Patrol, which it seems like if that franchise is doing quite well for Paramount so far. So, what some see as arrogance, others characterize as a much needed shift, remaking a struggling studio that was deprived of resources for years. The execs inherited a slate where every movie this year lost money in its theatrical run until the October romantic sleeper hit Regretting You. That list includes the Ellison produced Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which I have made a video on that on the channel if you want to check it out. Then mentions here that with David Ellison likes to hire people who he thinks were devalued. So they mentioned here John Lasseter, who used to run Pixar. He resigned from Disney after after Me Too movement, following allegations of inappropriate behavior. And then Paramount announced first look deal with Will Smith. I think that was over the summer. That was officially announced. Mentioned still tainted from slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. And it says one of the few leftover movies from the previous regime that Ellison embraced is an Ebenezer Scrooge project starring Johnny Depp that would mark the actor's first major studio feature since Warner Brothers fired him from Fantastic Beasts franchise in 2020. This Paramount insiders debunked the notion that this new team is making, quote, flyover state films, but readily admit they are building a slate focused on areas it sees as underserved by Hollywood, a move that mirrors Ellison's work to reshape CBS News. So it mentions here that one of the titles that they announced is Call of Duty, which that is in the works with Taylor Sheridan writing the script for that. And there's $100 million motocross film that's going to be directed by James Mangold that stars Timothy Chalamet. And James Mangold has a new overall deal with Paramount. And apparently, Paramount they're keen on making a western with Brendan Sklenar from 1923, but also to It Ends with Us. Says, quote, the one thing I'm trying to figure out is what other big priorities they are embracing. Is there anything that isn't male driven action movie? Paramount insists there is. During an August 13th media event, Greenstein name checked such franchises as Star Trek, Transformers, and World War Z. Also indicated an interest in horror and R rated comedies. Insiders at Paramount say the team's guiding principle is ensuring that every movie is an event. This doesn't just mean franchises, it can mean risque comedies for both men and women or dramas targeting Black audiences. There appears to be little appetite for risky critical darling or awards bait favor. So it mentions here that if you remember, Paramount they released Roofman, which stars Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst. I think that was supposed to be like their awards contender, but apparently the team that's in charge of the awards were laid off in October, but they're going to remain through the end of Oscars season because apparently they pulled back on plans to, I guess, advertise the movie during award season. And a source says they have no interest in anything but down the middle IP. It's all about commerciality. And I find, yeah, that's concerning because we have seen movies that are quote unquote commercial or have recognizable IP that failed at the box office. I mean, Tron, with that movie that came out, Tron Ares, I know that's a different studio, that failed at the box office. And if you're sticking with Paramount, The Running Man, that's with Glenn Powell. That's like a remake of the Schwarzenegger movie, but also too is an adaptation of the Stephen King book. That movie severely underperformed at the box office, which, based on what I've heard about the movie, I'm not surprised. So mentions here that they Paramount they killed several projects or sold them off. An example is Eloise, which is an adaptation of Kay Thompson's beloved children's series about a girl living at the Plaza Hotel in New York. Apparently, that was quietly sold to Netflix. Ryan Reynolds had been quick to board the MRC project as a producer and star when approached by the prior regime, saying his three young daughters are huge fans of the book, but sources say Greenstein in particular didn't believe the IP was relevant in today's times, nor did the studio want to make it as a theatrical movie for a $75 million budget, even though MRC is helping to cover the cost. Shame. And then also too, they scrapped plans to make Winter Games, which is a romantic sports drama starring Miles Teller. Also too, they canceled Victor and Sam's Day Off, which was a spin-off for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And also too for Colin Trevorrow's Area 51 movie that had Ryan Reynolds attached to produce. Hmm. It's hardly unusual for incoming leaders to take stock of what they have and jettison things, but Greenstein has stated that the company hopes to release 15 films a year starting next year. As one producer with ties to Paramount asked, how are they going to make so many movies when they are killing them left and right? Rush Hour 4 is one answer. I don't know about that. Another is an R rated workplace comedy called Bald Eagles. Suspect they scooped up days after coming into power. They're developing another paranormal activity movie with Blumhouse and James Wan. They're moving forward with a carryover romantic comedy that's set to star Brie Larson, that's based on Rebecca Serli's best-selling book One Italian Summer. Yeah, and then also too, they're trying to figure out what to do with the Ninja Turtles franchise. Apparently, it's so impressed by Sonic the Hedgehog that it hired the producer of the movies, Neil H. Moritz, to guide a live action Turtles movie that's already nabbed a high profile Thanksgiving holiday release date of November 2028. Because I remember there were headlines that because in the prior regime they announced to do like an R-rated Ninja Turtles movie, and as someone that used to watch these movies growing up, that got me excited. Plus, too, with the Ninja Turtles franchise, I believe was more geared towards adults, but then shifted towards being kids. But yeah, that ended up getting canceled with that movie, and it seems like now with this reboot they want to do for a live action Ninja Turtles movie is going to be geared towards kids, since they want to lean towards what Sonic did in terms of those movies, which I don't know if I agree with, because I remember the headlines say they want to Sonicify the Ninja Turtles franchise, which which is concerning though, because I don't think that whatever worked for Sonic is going to apply to the Ninja Turtles franchise. But again, anything can happen at this point. But yeah, that's just concerning. So it also mentions here that there's going to be a sequel for the Mutant Mayhem. That's the animated movie that was made by Seth Rogen. Uh, and what else here? And yeah, so they talk about the South Park project here. So with the guys behind South Park, they're working on a movie with Kendrick Lamar. It's untitled, but internally the project's called Whitney Springs. So I remember like there were a few release dates before it got removed from the schedule. Because I believe, yeah, with Kendrick Lamar, he's busy on tour. I think I saw that his tour recently wrapped. So probably, yeah, they're still working on it. So who knows when that's going to come out? But yeah, in the article, it implies here that I guess people behind Paramount are quite nervous about this project. Like given with South Park's history with Trump and all that stuff. So who knows what's going to happen with that project. And yeah, this one was interesting. So apparently, because David Ellison, he produced the Mission Impossible movies, I believe, from the fourth one to the recent one that we got, which was supposed to be the last one. And apparently, it mentions here that his relationship with Tom Cruise was not always smooth, because apparently, according to two sources, Tom Cruise grew unhappy with Ellison not long after Robbins came aboard on top of Paramount in 2021. Apparently, during a meeting about the final two Mission Impossible movies, Tom Cruise said he needed tens of millions of dollars in additional production funds, and Ellison suggested that Cruise find some money on his own. And then apparently, multiple sources say Tom Cruise wouldn't attend any production or marketing meetings if Ellison was present. The Robbins regime ultimately caved to Cruise's demands, coughing up more dough. Sources close to Skydance dispute there was any such rift. But apparently, Tom Cruise is eager to get Top Gun 3 off the ground, and he's trying to seek a new home for his deep sea disaster adventure that reportedly sports a production budget north of $200 million. Because Warner Brothers, where Tom Cruise has a deal, and Universal have passed. And sources confirmed that Tom Cruise recently went to Paramount to pay his respects to new leadership, which would mean he's no longer at odds with Ellison. I mean, that might be the case, or he just wanted to be respectful, but they probably still have their issues, whatever that stems from. Says if Ellison gets his way and buys Warner's in a history changing moment for Hollywood, Cruise won't be the only one having to acquiesce to a new cultural order. And gee, with that whole thing with the Warner's sale happening, that is a mess though. And I just can't believe that with Paramount, they're still eager to get Warner Brothers. And I'm wondering if it's because of the IP that Warner Brothers has, because they have quite a lot of valuable IP, such as Harry Potter, with DC, and so much stuff. But yeah, that is a mess with that whole deal. Was there? And then that's all for this article. So I wanted to look at their upcoming slate. So yeah, I have questions. So for this coming Friday, we have SpongeBob movie, so that's an installment of SpongeBob franchise. And then January, there's Primate, which looks to be an original movie in the horror genre. And then we have another Scream movie, Scream 7. I feel like there's too many of these movies already, but I guess because they make money, why not? And then for March, Billie Eilish has her concert film called Hit Me Hard and Soft to tour live in 3D, which I believe is going to be co directed by James Cameron. So there's probably going to be some cool visuals there. And then for June, we have Scary Movie 6. Gee, I haven't watched those movies in years. I'm wondering though, with this one is going to and try to get people to reinvest in that franchise, but also to reinvest with spoof movies in general. Because we just had Naked Gun, which is under Paramount, that came out over the summer. I would say that one did fairly well at the box office with that one because it seemed like people seem to enjoy that one. And of course, yeah, another Paw Patrol movie, the Dino movie. And then we have Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender. And then Street Fighter, I saw recently, they released like a teaser trailer at the Game Awards. That looks interesting. And then I mentioned earlier the Ebenezer movie, and they're distributing internationally only Fokker in Law, which is an installment of Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers. That's with Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro. And they're going to do Angry Birds 3. I'm just wondering why, because I remember seeing the first movie for that one. I was not a fan of that, but I guess they make money, so why not? And then I see there's Children of Blood and Bone, which I believe is an adaptation of these series of books I'm not too familiar with. And yes, we're getting another Sonic movie, Quiet Place Part 3, and then Ninja Turtles, Mayhem sequel, and then, of course, the live action reboot, and then another Sonic movie. Ay, ay, ay. But, yeah. And I feel like, yeah, with their slate this year was very disappointing, though, because it seemed like, I don't know, I guess what, the Naked Gun I don't know how well Novocaine did, but it certainly was not a great year for Paramount. So yeah, I'm just because I guess if they want to do the whole commercial stuff is fine, but I'm just wondering if it backfires. Are they going to pivot, or are they still going to continue towards that path? I mean, I don't know. But yeah, it's just sad though because way back in the day they used to make a lot of what down the middle, let's say mid budget at best movies that were original. Like they had what Beverly Hills Cop, for example, and I'm sure there's others I can't think the names of right now. But now it's like fast forward, it's all about IPs and commerciality, as the article mentioned. So that is quite concerning, I would say. And you better hope that with these stuff works outside of the IP because they need to be reinvented with those movies because you cannot do down the middle stuff. Now, maybe like for some IPs that might work more than others, but it's just better to take chances than to play it safe. But hey, again, who knows what's going to happen with their upcoming slate? But yeah, I don't know if this looks good for them. But hey, anything can happen. So that pretty much wraps up this topic with Paramount in terms of what they want to do from a creative perspective with the studio. So let me know your thoughts on all this stuff. Like, are you worried about this? Are you not? With the stuff that they've announced so far, are there any projects you're looking forward to, or do you plan to keep away given what's happening outside of the creative aspects? Let me know all that in the comments section. So if you want to support me, you could visit buymeacoffee.com/Nomfanelo, where you could donate and look at exclusive posts there. Also, too, I have a community tab here on my YouTube channel. So if you subscribe, feel free to leave comments there as long as it's under community guidelines. And if you want to follow me on social media, my links are in the description. So I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to catch you on the next one.